My beloved child. Stop scrolling for a moment. This message found you for a reason, and before you decide to move on, hear every word carefully. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. There are moments in life when two hearts seem separated by distance, silence, and unanswered questions. Yet unseen threads continue pulling them toward one another. Today is one of those moments. Right now, someone is carrying your name inside their heart with a weight they can no longer ignore. Something happened today. Something they never expected. Something that completely changed the way they see everything. They tried to convince themselves they were strong enough to keep pretending. They tried to bury their emotions beneath distractions, conversations, responsibilities, and endless noise. But today, everything came crashing down. Don't skip. Because what happens next may completely change the direction of this story. There was a moment today that caught them completely off guard. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't loud. It wasn't planned. It was a simple moment that opened a door they had been trying to keep locked for a very long time. One small reminder. One unexpected memory. One familiar feeling. Suddenly they weren't running anymore. They couldn't. Every excuse they had created began falling apart. Every wall they built started developing cracks. Every reason they used to stay emotionally distant suddenly felt weaker than ever before. For the first time in a long time, they stopped pretending they were okay. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. As the day continued, they found themselves replaying moments they thought they had forgotten. The conversations. The smiles. The quiet moments. Even the silence between you. They remembered things that once seemed ordinary. Now those same memories felt priceless. The smallest details became impossible to ignore. Your kindness. Your patience. Your quiet strength. Your ability to remain genuine even when life became difficult. Those memories refused to leave. No matter how hard they tried. They realized something today. Some people leave memories behind. But you left peace. That realization shook them more deeply than they expected. It wasn't because everything suddenly became perfect. It was because truth finally became louder than fear. Don't skip. This story is only beginning. There were people around them. Friends talking. Phones ringing. The world moving exactly as it always had. Yet inside, everything felt different. They smiled when others looked. But the moment they were alone, the mask disappeared. Questions filled their mind. What if I waited too long? What if they don't believe me? What if I never get another chance? Those questions echoed louder every passing minute. No distraction worked. No conversation erased them. No amount of busyness could silence what their heart was trying to say. For the first time, they admitted something they had refused to admit before. They miss you. Not just occasionally. Not just during lonely nights. But deeply. Honestly. Completely. And that realization left them emotionally overwhelmed. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. As evening approached, something unexpected happened again. They saw something. A familiar place. A familiar song. A familiar phrase. No matter what it was, it instantly reminded them of you. It felt as though every ordinary moment suddenly carried your name. They tried looking away, but reminders kept appearing. Not because the world had changed, but because their heart finally opened its eyes. Sometimes truth waits patiently until a person is finally ready to receive it. Today, they became ready. That frightened them. Because real feelings always require real courage. They understood they could no longer hide behind uncertainty. They could no longer convince themselves that ignoring their emotions would make them disappear. The feelings had become too real. Too honest. Too impossible to deny. Don't skip. Because the next chapter is even more powerful. Tonight, they are sitting with thoughts they can no longer escape. They wish they had spoken sooner. They wish they had understood sooner. They wish they had appreciated certain moments while they were still happening. Regret has a quiet voice. But when the heart finally listens, that voice becomes impossible to ignore. They are beginning to understand that genuine connections cannot be replaced by temporary distractions. Real peace cannot be borrowed. Real care cannot be manufactured. Real love cannot simply be forgotten. And that understanding is changing them from within. Slowly. Patiently. Deeply. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. This story is not about fear. It is about awakening. It is about someone finally becoming honest with themselves. Sometimes the greatest miracle isn't that circumstances suddenly change. Sometimes the greatest miracle is that a heart finally stops running. Today, that happened. They are no longer pretending they feel nothing. They are no longer convincing themselves the connection meant little. Instead, they are quietly hoping there is still time. Still hope. Still another beginning waiting somewhere ahead. Whether tomorrow brings conversation or silence. Whether the road becomes short or long. One thing has already changed forever. Their heart is no longer asleep. It is awake. And awakened hearts rarely return to who they once were. So if this story found you today, take a quiet moment. Breathe. Hold on to hope. Keep walking with wisdom. Never allow fear to become louder than faith. Because life has a remarkable way of bringing truth into the light when the right moment finally arrives. Don't skip your own journey. Stay till the end of every chapter life writes. Because sometimes the most meaningful pages are the ones that come after the longest silence. And remember this. Every sunrise carries new possibilities. Every difficult season eventually gives way to a new beginning. Every honest heart has the opportunity to grow. Perhaps this isn't the ending anyone expected. Perhaps it is simply the beginning of a brand new chapter that neither of you could have imagined before today. Until that chapter unfolds, walk forward with courage. Choose kindness over bitterness. Choose hope over despair. Choose faith over fear. Because the greatest stories are rarely finished when people think they are. And yours may only be getting started. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Because something huge is waiting for you. Wait. Don't look away now. If you've stayed this far, you're standing at the point where everything begins to shift. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. While you have been living your ordinary day, unaware of the invisible battle taking place beyond your sight, your soulmate has been wrestling with emotions they can no longer control. Today did not end the way they expected. They believed they could keep carrying the weight alone. They believed silence was easier than honesty. But every passing hour proved the opposite. As night settled in, the noise around them slowly disappeared. The conversations faded. The notifications stopped. The laughter of others no longer distracted them. For the first time all day, they were left alone with nothing except their own thoughts. And that was the moment everything became impossible to ignore. Memories they had buried months ago returned with remarkable clarity. They remembered a conversation they once dismissed as ordinary. Now every sentence carried a meaning they had completely overlooked. They remembered your patience when others would have walked away. They remembered the calmness you carried even during difficult moments. Most of all, they remembered how safe they felt whenever your paths crossed. That feeling refused to disappear. Don't skip. The next part changes everything. A quiet realization slowly settled over their heart. They had spent so much time searching for answers in distant places that they never noticed one of the greatest blessings had already crossed their path. That realization brought both comfort and regret. Comfort, because truth had finally reached them. Regret, because they wondered how many opportunities had already slipped through their fingers. Every unanswered message, every delayed conversation, every missed chance suddenly returned to their memory. They wished they could go back and rewrite those moments. But time never moves backward. It only asks us what we will do next. That question echoed inside them again and again. What happens if I remain silent? What happens if I never tell them the truth? Those questions became heavier than fear itself. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. Then something unexpected happened. Someone casually mentioned your name. It wasn't planned. It wasn't dramatic. It was only a passing conversation. But hearing your name felt like a spark landing on dry ground. Everything inside them came alive. They tried to remain composed. They smiled politely. They changed the subject. Yet inside, their heart was racing faster than ever before. They realized something they could no longer deny. No matter where life had taken them, part of their heart had never truly left you behind. That discovery overwhelmed them. Not because it was new. Because it had finally become undeniable. Don't skip. You're getting closer to the moment that changed everything. Later that evening, they found themselves scrolling through old memories. Not searching for perfection. Not searching for answers. Simply hoping to feel close to the peace they once experienced. Every memory reminded them that genuine connections cannot be measured by time alone. Some people leave an impression that refuses to fade. Some hearts continue speaking long after the conversation has ended. Yours became one of those voices. Quiet. Gentle. Constant. No matter how hard they tried to silence it. They finally whispered words they had never allowed themselves to say before. I still care. No audience heard those words. No applause followed. Only silence. But sometimes the quietest confessions carry the greatest truth. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. At that very moment, they made an important promise to themselves. No more pretending. No more running from feelings they already understood. No more allowing fear to make decisions that belong to courage. They don't know exactly how tomorrow will unfold. They don't know whether every door will immediately open. But they do know one thing. The distance inside their own heart has become far smaller than it was yesterday. Hope has begun replacing hesitation. Honesty has begun replacing uncertainty. And every passing minute strengthens the quiet desire to reconnect with what once brought genuine peace. Perhaps neither of you can see the full picture yet. Perhaps some answers are still waiting beyond the horizon. But every meaningful journey begins with a single honest step. Tonight, that first step has finally been taken. Don't skip. Because what happens next may reveal why today's unexpected events were never random at all. Listen carefully. The story has reached a place where silence can no longer hide the truth. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. As the night grew deeper, they stopped asking themselves whether their feelings were real. That question had already been answered. Instead, a different thought kept returning over and over again. What if this is my last opportunity to make things right? Those words echoed through their heart like a quiet storm. For so long, they believed there would always be another tomorrow. Another chance. Another conversation. Another perfect moment. But today's events reminded them that life rarely waits for perfect timing. Sometimes the heart must speak while its voice is trembling. That realization changed everything. They walked outside, hoping the cool evening air would quiet their thoughts. Instead, every step only made your memory clearer. The stars above seemed brighter than usual. The gentle breeze carried a strange sense of peace. For a brief moment, they closed their eyes. And the first face that came to mind was yours. Not because they forced the memory, but because their heart chose it naturally. Don't skip. The biggest turning point is still ahead. They began replaying every misunderstanding between you. Every missed opportunity. Every moment where fear spoke louder than honesty. Looking back now, they realized many of the walls between you had never been built by truth. They had been built by assumptions. By hesitation. By waiting for someone else to make the first move. Now those walls no longer looked impossible. They looked temporary. And for the first time, they believed they could be torn down. As that hope grew stronger, something remarkable happened. The heavy weight they had carried for so long slowly began to lift. Not because every problem had disappeared, but because they finally stopped fighting what their heart already knew. There is a strange freedom that comes with honesty. Even before circumstances change, the soul begins to breathe again. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. Meanwhile, without realizing it, you continued living your own day. You had no idea that someone, somewhere, was quietly gathering the courage they once believed they would never have. Sometimes the most important changes happen where no one is watching. Not in crowded rooms. Not in loud celebrations. But in quiet moments where a single decision changes an entire future. Tonight became one of those moments. They no longer wanted to hide behind excuses. They no longer wanted fear to decide the direction of their life. Instead, they made a silent promise. If another opportunity appears, I won't let fear steal it. That promise wasn't spoken loudly. No one else heard it. But heaven hears even the quietest intentions born from sincerity. Don't skip. You're closer than ever to understanding why today unfolded the way it did. Before going to sleep, they looked back one final time at everything that had happened throughout the day. Every unexpected conversation. Every reminder. Every memory. Every emotion. Suddenly it all seemed connected. What once appeared to be random moments now felt like pieces of a much larger picture. A picture they had been unable to see until now. Their heart was no longer filled with confusion. It was filled with hope. Not the kind of hope built on fantasy, but the quiet hope that grows when truth finally replaces fear. They don't know exactly what tomorrow will bring. Perhaps there will be a conversation. Perhaps there will simply be another small step forward. Either way, they have already crossed the hardest bridge. The bridge between denial and honesty. And once someone crosses that bridge, life rarely remains the same. So if you're hearing these words today, remember this. Some journeys don't begin with grand announcements. They begin with one heart deciding it is finally ready to be real. This is not the end of the story. It is the moment the next chapter quietly opens. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Because something huge is waiting for you, and the pages that follow may reveal a future neither of you expected when this day began. Hold on. Don't leave now, because the story is about to reveal what changed inside them forever. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. As midnight quietly passed, they realized they could no longer return to the person they had been yesterday. Something inside had awakened. Not because someone persuaded them. Not because circumstances forced them. But because truth finally reached a place that fear had occupied for far too long. For years, they believed protecting their emotions meant hiding them. Now they understood something entirely different. A guarded heart may avoid disappointment. But it also keeps joy waiting outside the door. That realization was both beautiful and unsettling. It challenged everything they had convinced themselves to believe. The walls they once considered strength suddenly looked like prisons. And one by one, those walls began to crumble. Don't skip. The next few moments carry the deepest part of this journey. They found themselves wondering what you might be doing at that exact moment. Were you smiling? Were you resting? Were you also thinking about moments that never truly faded? Those questions stayed with them long into the night. Not because they expected immediate answers, but because they finally cared enough to ask. For the first time, they stopped imagining a future built only around themselves. Instead, they quietly wondered what life could look like if two hearts stopped running in opposite directions. That thought brought unexpected peace. It wasn't a fantasy. It wasn't wishful thinking. It was hope. Simple, honest hope. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. Then another memory surfaced. It wasn't one of the dramatic moments. It wasn't a grand conversation. It was something small. The way you listened without interrupting. The way your kindness never demanded recognition. The way your presence made difficult days feel lighter. Those little moments suddenly became priceless treasures. They realized people often spend years searching for extraordinary signs while overlooking extraordinary people. Today, they understood the difference. That understanding filled them with gratitude. But it also reminded them how precious every opportunity truly is. Don't skip. You're walking toward the moment where everything begins to align. As the hours slowly passed, they whispered a quiet promise into the stillness of the night. If another door opens, I won't let fear close it. Those words carried more courage than they had ever spoken before. They knew they couldn't rewrite the past. They couldn't erase misunderstandings. They couldn't undo missed opportunities. But they could choose differently from this moment forward. Sometimes healing begins the instant someone decides to stop hiding. That decision became the turning point. Not because every obstacle vanished overnight, but because they finally became willing to face those obstacles with honesty instead of fear. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. Before the first light of morning touched the horizon, peace settled over them in a way they hadn't experienced for a long time. The restlessness that had followed them throughout the day slowly faded. In its place came quiet clarity. They understood that genuine connections are never strengthened by pretending. They grow through sincerity. Through patience. Through courage. And through the willingness to take one honest step after another. That lesson became the greatest gift of this day. The story is still unfolding. The next sunrise has not yet revealed everything. There are conversations still waiting to happen. There are truths still waiting to be spoken. There are moments still waiting to surprise both of you. What seemed impossible yesterday no longer feels unreachable today. Sometimes the greatest transformation isn't seen by the world. It's the quiet change that takes place inside a heart when it finally chooses truth over fear. That quiet change has already begun. And once a heart begins walking toward the light, it rarely chooses darkness again. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Because something huge is waiting for you. And the next chapter may reveal why today's unexpected turning point was only the beginning of a much greater journey. Just a little longer. If you've stayed with this story until now, don't stop here. The most powerful revelation has not arrived yet. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. As the first light of a new morning began to appear, they felt different. Not because the world around them had suddenly changed, but because something inside them finally had. The fear that once controlled every decision had become quieter. The courage they had ignored for so long had finally found its voice. For the first time in what felt like forever, they looked ahead instead of looking back. They understood that yesterday was not sent to break them. It was sent to awaken them. Every unexpected conversation. Every emotional moment. Every memory that returned. Every unanswered question. It all led to one undeniable truth. They could no longer pretend your place in their heart had disappeared. It never had. It had simply been buried beneath uncertainty. Now that uncertainty was fading. And with every passing hour, clarity grew stronger. Don't skip. The greatest moment is still ahead. They quietly imagined what they would say if your paths crossed again. Not with perfect words. Not with a carefully rehearsed speech. Just honesty. Pure, unguarded honesty. They pictured themselves saying the things they had kept hidden for far too long. I should have appreciated you sooner. I should have listened to my heart instead of my fear. I never truly forgot the peace your presence brought into my life. Those words remained unspoken. But they were no longer trapped. They had finally reached the surface. Sometimes the hardest conversation begins long before two people ever meet. It begins inside the heart. And that conversation had already started. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. As they moved through the day, they noticed something remarkable. The future no longer felt frightening. For so long, they had been afraid of what might happen. Now they were more afraid of never trying at all. That single shift changed everything. Fear no longer stood at the front of their journey. Hope did. Hope encouraged them to believe that healing is possible. Hope reminded them that even broken seasons can produce beautiful beginnings. Hope whispered that some connections are too meaningful to be abandoned. They didn't know exactly when the next chapter would unfold. But for the first time, they truly believed it would. Don't skip. You're standing at the edge of the story's biggest emotional turn. Far away, without realizing it, you continued living your own life. You couldn't hear the promises they were making. You couldn't see the quiet determination growing stronger inside them. Yet unseen changes often prepare the way for visible ones. A seed grows in silence before anyone sees the first green leaf. A sunrise begins long before the light reaches the horizon. In the same way, a transformed heart begins changing long before anyone else notices. That transformation had already begun. Nothing could erase it now. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. As evening approached once again, they made one final decision. No more waiting for the perfect moment. No more believing tomorrow is guaranteed. No more allowing hesitation to write the ending of their story. Instead, they chose courage. Not loud courage. Not reckless courage. Quiet courage. The kind that takes one faithful step even when the entire road cannot yet be seen. That decision became the beginning of a brand new chapter. Because every meaningful journey starts with someone refusing to let fear have the final word. Perhaps this story has reminded you of something your own heart needed to hear. Perhaps it has reminded you that hope is never wasted. That kindness is never forgotten. That sincere hearts eventually find the strength to speak. The pages ahead remain unwritten. The next sunrise still holds mysteries. The next conversation may carry unexpected joy. The next chapter may reveal blessings neither heart imagined possible. So keep walking with patience. Keep choosing grace. Keep believing that light always finds its way through the darkest night. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Because something huge is waiting for you. And what began as one unexpected day may become the very story both hearts remember for the rest of their lives.